we've all struggled with this at one point, and if you're thinking to yourself, I never have, then you're insane and you're not a real person, and I don't believe you anyways. The notorious fretboard with all its letters and hashtags and upside down P's and all the confusingness that is the musical alphabet, it's so complicated. But actually it's not complicated, it's very simple, and people overcomplicate it for the simple fact that if you make something seem more complex than it really is, you can charge money for the information. So there's a few ideas that are very easy to remember, and if you know all these, it makes the fretboard so much smaller and much easier to navigate. So all of these ideas have to do with the consistency of the fretboard, and I'll explain what that means here in a second, but let's first talk about what you do understand about the fretboards. So you know that the open strings in standard tuning is E, A, D, G, B, E from the top down, and you know that on the 12th fret, it is the same exact as the open strings, E, A, D, G, B, E. And then you know that the top string and the bottom string are the same exact notes in the same strings. So let's build off of that. So let's talk about a couple other frets where you can reference to the open string. The 5th fret is the open string starting from the A. So A, D, G, you gotta jump back 1 fret for the B, E, and then back to A again. And then if we jump over to the 10th fret, it's the same except for starting from the D. So the second idea is to learn all the natural notes on the low E string. That's going to be consistent everywhere on the fretboard. So you know if you have an A, you're going to have a D below or at least very close by. So the next idea you need to remember is that 2 strings down, 2 frets over is going to be the octave of the same note. So we have an A here, we have an A here, we have a D here, we have a D here. So something that I do want to add in is all the strings are a perfect 4th or 5 half steps away from each other, except for when you get G to B, it's only 4 half steps away, or a major third is what it's considered. So for example, we have an A note here. The D's not going to be right below in this situation, it's actually going to be 1 fret over. So the idea of this whole concept is that it makes the fretboard a lot smaller. So instead of saying, okay, I'm looking for the A on the low E string, you don't have to go E, F, G, A. You could go, oh, I remember that on the 5th fret, it starts with the A string, so now I know the A. Or I know there's an A here, and I'm looking for a D close by. There's a D right there. So you're able to navigate the fretboard so much quicker. So take these ideas and now try to start figuring out what you're playing on a regular basis. So if you're playing a cover song, try to figure out what notes you're playing. If you're writing your own riffs or just playing something random, and you kind of like it, just go back and figure out what it is and what notes you're playing, and then eventually you're just going to remember where all the notes are in the fretboard. And by learning just all the natural notes and not worrying about the sharps and flats, you know that if you're at a G sharp is 1 fret up and a G flat is 1 fret down. Take this system and start using it and implementing it and trying to figure out what you're playing. You will learn the fretboard very quickly, I guarantee it. If you guys have used some of these ideas, or if you have other ideas that have helped you learn the fretboard, let us know. I'm very interested in what other people have been using to navigate the fretboard.